Ladies and gentlemen, there's a force in life that can transform your entire existence. Not tomorrow, not next week, but this very moment. That force is gratitude. Gratitude is not just saying thank you. It's not a polite response. It's a state of being. It's a mindset that has the power to shift your emotions, change your physiology, and rewrite the meaning you give to your experiences. When you live in gratitude, you stop waiting for things to be perfect and start seeing the perfection in what you already have. Think about this. Two people can go through the exact same event, yet one feels crushed while the other feels blessed. The difference isn't the event, it's perspective. Perspective is the lens through which you interpret the world. Change your perspective and you change your life. Most people live in a constant state of I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I get that job. I'll be happy when I make more money. I'll be happy when I find the right person. But the truth is, if you can't find happiness in the life you're living right now, that someday you're waiting for will never arrive. Gratitude kills the illusion of someday. It brings you into the now, into the power of this very second. When you train your mind to find something to appreciate in every situation, even the painful ones, life stops being a struggle and starts becoming a gift. Think back to the hardest moment of your life. Maybe it broke you, maybe it left scars, but looking back, didn't it also shape you? Didn't it teach you something that made you stronger, wiser, more resilient? That's perspective. Gratitude allows you to see the hidden treasure in the storm. Some of you might say, but you don't know my life. You don't know my problems. You're right. I don't. But I do know this. No matter how dark it feels, there is always something to be grateful for. Gratitude doesn't ignore pain. It gives you the power to face it differently. It reminds you that even in your worst season, you still have breath in your lungs, strength in your body, and the ability to choose your response. That's freedom. Here's the truth. The quality of your life is not determined by the circumstances you face, but by the meaning you attach to them. If you decide that life is happening for you instead of to you, everything changes. Suddenly, setbacks become setups. Challenges become opportunities. Pain becomes fuel. That's the shift gratitude and perspective bring. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for life to line up with your expectations. Choose right now to be grateful. Look around you. There are blessings hidden in plain sight, waiting to be acknowledged. Train your brain every day. Wake up and name 3 things you're grateful for before you even touch your phone. When something frustrates you, ask, what else could this mean? How can I use this? Do that, and you'll notice your entire emotional state elevate. Because in the end, life isn't about having more, it's about noticing more. Gratitude opens the door to joy, and perspective keeps it open, no matter what storms come your way. Gratitude is not an act. It's a state of being that transforms your emotions instantly. When most people think of gratitude, they imagine saying thank you, or keeping a journal where they list a few things they appreciate. While those are great practices, gratitude runs much deeper than that. It's not about a polite response or a ritual. It's about training your mind and heart to live in a constant awareness of the blessings around you. Gratitude is the ability to shift your focus from what's missing to what's present, from what's wrong to what's right, from scarcity to abundance. It's about choosing, moment by moment, to focus on what gives life meaning rather than on what drains it. The truth is, your emotions at any given time are driven by what you're paying attention to. If you focus on problems, you'll feel overwhelmed. If you focus on losses, you'll feel broken. But the second you focus on something you're grateful for, your entire state changes. Your breathing slows, your body relaxes, and your mind becomes clearer. Gratitude is a force that interrupts the cycle of stress and negativity instantly. Imagine 2 people walking through the same park. One notices the traffic noise, the litter on the ground, and the heat of the sun. The other notices the laughter of children, the beauty of the trees, and the warmth of the light. They are in the same place at the same time, yet their experiences are completely different. Why? Because one has trained their mind to see what's good. Gratitude is not about ignoring reality or pretending problems don't exist. It's about reclaiming your power to decide how you'll interpret reality. You can't always control circumstances, but you can always control the meaning you give to them. And when gratitude becomes your default, you stop being a prisoner of what happens around you. Science has proven that gratitude changes brain chemistry. It increases dopamine and serotonin in the feel, good neurotransmitters that elevate your mood. It lowers stress hormones and even boosts your immune system. That means gratitude isn't just an emotion, it's a tool for physical, mental, and emotional transformation. You can literally rewire your brain to feel more joy and less stress by practicing gratitude daily. The beautiful part is that gratitude doesn't require you to wait. You don't need to wait until you achieve a big goal, buy the dream house, or meet the right person. You can step into gratitude right now, in the middle of your current circumstances. The moment you decide to focus on something you appreciate, a smile from a stranger, the ability to breathe, the strength to keep going, you reclaim control of your emotional state. That's why gratitude is so powerful, it's instant. It doesn't take weeks or years. It works the moment you choose it. Think of gratitude as a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. At first, it may feel forced, especially if you've been living in stress, worry, or comparison. But over time, as you repeatedly redirect your focus toward appreciation, it becomes natural. You start noticing little things you used to overlook. You begin to feel lighter, more hopeful, more connected. You start realizing that no matter how much chaos surrounds you, there is always something to be thankful for. Gratitude also changes relationships. When you approach people with a spirit of appreciation instead of criticism, everything shifts. You see their strengths instead of their flaws, their effort instead of their mistakes. That doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you choose to amplify the positive rather than dwell on the negative. And the truth is, people respond to the energy you bring. A grateful heart attracts connection, kindness, and trust in a way that nothing else can. Gratitude isn't passive, it's active. It's the conscious decision to step into a higher state, regardless of circumstances. It is not something you feel only when life is easy. It's something you cultivate, especially when life feels hard. Because it's in those difficult moments that gratitude becomes a lifeline, a way to remind yourself that even in struggle, there is still good, there is still hope, there is still something worth fighting for. Perspective shapes your reality more than circumstances ever will. Two people can face the exact same event, yet walk away with completely different emotions and outcomes, and the only difference is the lens through which they interpret that event. Perspective is the filter that colors your experiences, the meaning maker that determines whether you see a setback as a dead end or as an opportunity. Life itself is neutral. It is neither good nor bad until you assign meaning to it. And the meaning you give creates the reality you live in. If you see problems as punishments, you'll live in resentment. If you see them as lessons, you'll live in growth. That's the power of perspective. So many people believe that if they could just change their circumstances, they would finally be happy, confident, or fulfilled. They tell themselves that once they make more money, once they move to a better city, once they meet the right partner, everything will fall into place. But there are countless examples of people who achieved all of that and still felt empty, while others in far tougher conditions radiate joy and peace. The difference isn't their reality, it's how they view it. Perspective determines whether you feel like a victim or a creator of your life. Think about it. When you face a challenge, your mind immediately starts attaching meaning to it. If you tell yourself, "This is the end, I'll never recover," you create a reality of defeat. But if you tell yourself, "This is tough, but it's shaping me. It's giving me strength I'll need later. Suddenly the same situation becomes empowering. Nothing outside of you has changed, yet everything inside of you has. That's the shift perspective brings. Perspective also has the power to free you from comparison. So many people are trapped in the belief that someone else's life is better, easier, or more blessed than theirs. They scroll through social media, comparing highlight reels to their behind the scenes, and wonder why they feel inadequate. But the truth is, the only reason those feelings exist is because of the perspective you've chosen. When you shift your focus from what others have to what you can create, from what's missing to what's possible, you reclaim your power. It's not just about positive thinking. Positive thinking says everything is fine even when it's not. Perspective says it's hard, but there's something here for me. It doesn't deny reality, it reframes it. A difficult job becomes a training ground for patience and discipline. A financial struggle becomes a lesson in resourcefulness. A heartbreak becomes the foundation for greater self-respect and clarity about what you deserve. Perspective allows you to extract meaning from pain instead of being destroyed by it. Even history proves this. Some of the greatest leaders, inventors, and creators rose out of circumstances that seemed impossible. What set them apart wasn't that they had it easier. It was that they looked at the same hardship others faced and chose to see a pathway instead of a prison. They didn't wait for the world to get easier. They elevated their perspective to meet the challenge. When you shift perspective, you also shift emotion. The second you ask, what else could this mean? Or how could this be serving me? You open the door to new possibilities. Instead of being locked in frustration, you allow curiosity, resilience, and even gratitude to emerge. Your body responds differently, your mind becomes sharper, and your decisions improve. That's how a simple shift in perspective can change the trajectory of your life. Perspective is also contagious. The energy you carry influences those around you. When you approach situations with a mindset of possibility instead of limitation, you don't just elevate yourself, you lift the people near you. Families, teams, and communities are transformed when even one person decides to see differently. The truth is, you don't always get to choose your circumstances, but you always get to choose how you see them. And how you see them determines how you feel, how you act, and ultimately, the life you build. Happiness doesn't come from someday. It's created in the now through gratitude. So many people live their lives postponing joy, telling themselves that once they achieve a certain milestone, once they reach a particular level of success, once they fix every problem, then they will finally allow themselves to feel fulfilled. They build their lives around the illusion of when. When I make more money, when I lose the weight, when I meet the right person, when I get the promotion. But the tragedy of this mindset is that someday never arrives. Because even when those goals are reached, the mind quickly moves the finish line. You achieve the thing you once thought would change everything, and within moments your brain is already asking, what's next? This is why so many people who outwardly appear successful still feel an emptiness inside. They kept chasing happiness as if it were a destination instead of realizing it was a state they could step into now. Gratitude destroys the illusion of someday. It teaches you to experience joy before circumstances change, to feel rich before the money arrives, to feel loved before the relationship shows up, to feel successful before the world recognizes you. Gratitude is the practice of training your brain to recognize the good in your life exactly as it is, without waiting for the stars to align. The truth is, life is always happening right now. The past is gone, the future hasn't arrived, and the only moment you can ever live in is the present. Gratitude anchors you into that truth. It pulls you out of the endless chase and into the reality that there is beauty here today, in the ordinary moments you often overlook. The smile of a stranger, the breath in your lungs, the lessons from your struggles, the roof over your head. These are not small things. They are miracles you once may have prayed for. When you choose to see them with gratitude, you realize that happiness was never about having everything you wanted. It was about noticing everything you already have. Gratitude also shifts your focus from lack to abundance. The human brain is wired to notice problems, to seek out danger, to prepare for what's missing. While that survival instinct was useful thousands of years ago, in today's world it often leaves people trapped in stress and dissatisfaction. Gratitude interrupts that pattern. The moment you intentionally focus on what you appreciate, you signal to your brain that you are safe, that you have enough, that life is not just about surviving, but about thriving. And in that state, you don't just feel happier. You make better decisions, treat others with more kindness, and move through challenges with greater resilience. Think about a time you were so focused on achieving something that you ignored the joy available in the journey. Maybe you were saving up for a house and told yourself you couldn't feel secure until you had it. Maybe you were chasing a career milestone and thought you couldn't feel proud until it happened. But when you finally reached it, you realized the joy was fleeting. That's because happiness tied to outcomes always fades. Gratitude, on the other hand, creates lasting fulfillment because it's not dependent on outcomes. It's rooted in presence. The most powerful part of gratitude is that it's a choice available at any moment. You don't need more money, more recognition, or more success to practice it. All you need is a willingness to shift your focus. Start the day by asking yourself, what am I grateful for right now? Even if the answer feels small, like a warm cup of coffee or the ability to walk, it changes your emotional state. When stress shows up, ask, what can I appreciate even in this situation? That question alone has the power to break the cycle of negativity and reconnect you to the present. Happiness created through gratitude is not fragile. It can withstand storms. Because it isn't based on external achievements, it isn't shaken when life doesn't go as planned. It becomes a steady foundation you can return to no matter what chaos surrounds you. And from that foundation, you can pursue your goals not from a place of desperation, but from a place of fullness, knowing that your worth and your joy are not waiting for someday, but are available to you right now. Pain and challenges can become fuel when seen through the lens of perspective. Every single person faces hardship at some point in life. It could be a financial setback, a broken relationship, a failure that crushed your confidence, or even a season of uncertainty where nothing seems to make sense. For many, these moments become the reason they stop moving forward, the reason they shrink back and settle for less than they're capable of. But for others, the very same kind of pain becomes the turning point, the catalyst that ignites a deeper strength they didn't know they had. The difference isn't the challenge itself. It's how it's perceived and used. Pain can either paralyze you or propel you. The choice lies in whether you see it as punishment or preparation. When you view challenges as something happening to you, it's easy to feel like a victim, powerless and stuck. But when you shift perspective and see them as something happening for you, you begin to find meaning inside the struggle. The setback becomes a setup. The failure becomes feedback. The heartbreak becomes the birthplace of resilience and clarity. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That question alone turns pain into power. Think about some of the most inspiring stories you've ever heard. They rarely begin with comfort and ease. They begin with struggle, with someone who was knocked down, broken, and tested. What makes the story powerful isn't the pain itself, but the way the individual used that pain to grow. They refused to let hardship define them, and instead, they used it to refine them. Without the challenge, they never would have uncovered the depth of their strength or the size of their courage. Pain also has a way of stripping away the unnecessary, forcing you to focus on what truly matters. When life gets hard, suddenly the distractions lose their grip. You begin to see with clarity what you've been taking for granted, what you've been neglecting, and what you've been tolerating that no longer serves you. In this sense, pain can be a teacher, delivering lessons that comfort never could. It reveals the cracks in your foundation so you can rebuild stronger. There is also a hidden energy inside pain, fuel that, when harnessed, can drive you further than comfort ever will. Think of athletes who push through grueling training sessions, entrepreneurs who rise after countless failures, or individuals who turn personal tragedy into a mission to help others. Their pain became the fire that lit their path. Without it, they might have stayed in mediocrity. With it, they found a reason to rise higher. It's not about pretending pain feels good. It doesn't. Pain hurts, and it tests you in ways that feel unbearable. But when you choose to frame it differently, you begin to notice that inside the very struggle lies the seed of your next breakthrough. Many times, the qualities you admire most in yourself, your resilience, your strength, your wisdom, were born out of moments you once wished had never happened. That's the paradox of pain. The very thing you resist can become the very thing that builds you. Even neuroscience supports this. When you endure challenges and push through discomfort, your brain rewires itself, building new pathways of resilience and adaptability. You literally become stronger and more capable because of the struggle. What once felt impossible becomes familiar, and what once seemed unbearable becomes a memory of triumph. That's the transformation that only pain can deliver when you see it through the right lens. The next time you face a challenge, notice the story you're telling yourself about it. If your story is that life is unfair and you'll never get past this, you'll feel stuck. But if your story is that this is a season of growth, that there's something in this moment shaping you for something greater, then the pain becomes bearable and even purposeful. It shifts from being a weight that crushes you to a fuel that lifts you. And in that shift, you not only survive the challenge, you rise because of it. Life changes the moment you decide it's happening for you, not to you. Most people move through life believing they are at the mercy of circumstances, that they're trapped by luck, by other people's choices, or by events outside their control. They think life is happening to them, and as long as that belief runs the show, they feel powerless, waiting for things to get better instead of creating better. But the instant you make the decision to see life as something happening for you, everything shifts. Suddenly, setbacks stop being punishments and start becoming opportunities. The pain you once resented becomes a teacher. The rejection you once feared becomes redirection, and the obstacles that once felt like barriers become building blocks. It all comes down to meaning. Life itself is a series of events, neutral until you assign a story to them. If the story you tell yourself is that the world is unfair and you're unlucky, then you'll live in frustration and defeat. But if the story you choose is that life is giving you lessons, challenges, and gifts disguised as struggles, then you step into empowerment. You realize that life isn't against you, it's preparing you. Even the hardest seasons carry within them seeds of growth, if you're willing to look for them. Think about a time when something didn't go the way you planned. Maybe you lost a job, missed out on an opportunity, or went through a painful ending. In the moment, it may have felt devastating, like everything was falling apart. But later, looking back, you could see that it led you to something greater, an unexpected opportunity, a deeper strength, a clearer sense of direction. That's the power of shifting from "why is this happening to me?" to "how is this happening for me?" The circumstances didn't change, but the perspective transformed the outcome. When you live as though life is happening for you, gratitude becomes natural. Instead of focusing only on what's missing, you start recognizing the hidden blessings in every moment, the struggle that makes you more disciplined, the delay that teaches you patience, the failure that gives you wisdom. This mindset doesn't make challenges easy, but it makes them meaningful. And when something has meaning, you can endure it, learn from it, and use it to become more than you were before. This choice also changes the way you approach fear. When life is happening to you, fear controls you because you're waiting for the next bad thing to strike. But when life is happening for you, even fear becomes fuel. You see it as a signpost that growth is near, that you're stretching into something new. Instead of running from it, you lean into it, knowing it's part of the process that's shaping you into who you're meant to be. It's not about denying reality. Difficult things still happen. Pain is real. Loss is real, but believing life is happening for you doesn't erase the struggle. It gives the struggle a higher purpose. It allows you to step back and ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How is this preparing me for what's next? Those questions turn you from a passive victim into an active creator of your life. This mindset is also contagious. When you choose to live this way, you inspire others to do the same. People around you feel your energy shift. Instead of complaining about circumstances, you focus on possibilities. Instead of dragging others into negativity, you lift them into hope. You become the kind of person who not only transforms your own life, but helps others believe they can transform theirs too. Every breakthrough starts with that decision to believe life is happening for you. It's a choice that can be made in an instant, and yet it has the power to redefine your entire future. Because when you decide to live from that perspective, you stop waiting for life to hand you meaning. You start creating it.